Well, it is time for us to continue making sure we give you details regarding business matters and also factors that can impact onto your business journey and also that can impact onto the traders out there in Uganda. Well, with this particular segment, we first of all going to look at the weather updates, the weather forecast, to see how the weather is going to fare throughout the day so that you can clearly budget accordingly depending on your business or on how you're going to be making these movements in terms of transporting your goods from one district to the other. So let's now take a look at what is coming in from the weather forecast in today's morning. And the weather forecast of Smart Means Business. So we are going to kickstart it off from
Kigali, Rwanda, where this morning it's slightly cold and warm at 22 degrees Celsius. The afternoon is going to be slightly warm too at 23 degrees Celsius, but also there is a highlight of rainfall recorded there, highlighting the expectancy around drizzles. The evening, they will drop to 19 degrees Celsius, which is going to be a cold evening for people in Kigali, Rwanda, whereas the overnight will be cold as well at 16 degrees Celsius. And now temperatures will be high or low at what? That is what we'll be looking at now. They will be high at 24 degrees Celsius and low at 15 degrees Celsius, making a humidity of 98%. And visibility there will be recorded at 9.66 kilometers, whereas the wind will be traveling or has no recordings actually making a dew point around 16 degrees Celsius. But the new moon, moon phase there will be a warning dubious around there for people in Kigali, Rwanda.
And for people in Kigali, Rwanda, that's for you. Back to Uganda. Today's focus for Entebbe and Wakiso district. In the morning, 24 degrees Celsius currently is partly cloudy, partly weather. For those living in the area, you can bear witness with us. The afternoon, we expect some good sunshine there and could actually some brighter afternoon for people of Entebbe and Wakiso. Partly cloudy though, but it will actually be filled with a lot of brightness. The evening will have 24 degrees Celsius, but the weather conditions will actually be stiff. No rains expected, but in the overnight we expect some rains, that is in the areas of Entebbe and Wakiso. So let's look at the highest temperatures will be recorded at 25 degrees. The lowest will be at 22 degrees. Humidity is at 85%, visibility at 14.48 kilometers. Then the wind speed will be at 8 kilometers per hour, as the dew point will be 19 degrees and the UV index 0 out of 10. The moon phase will be a warning gibbous. That's for the people in Entebbe.
Very well, and now we head to people in Nairobi, Kenya, where this morning it's a cold morning at 22 degrees Celsius, but highlighted with warmth. And the afternoon is going to be warm at 28 degrees Celsius. Evening temperatures will drop at 20 degrees Celsius, whereas the overnight will be a cold one at 16 degrees Celsius. And temperatures will be high at 29 degrees Celsius and lower at 16 degrees Celsius, making 89% of humidity. Visibility is going to be recorded at 9.66 kilometers, whereas wind will be traveling at 10 kilometers per hour, making a dew point of 16 degrees Celsius. The moon phase will be warning gibbous around for people in Nairobi, Kenya.
How do they say good morning in Kiswahili? How do they say good morning in Kiswahili? I need to get to know that. Or I need to travel to...
Morning is asubuhi.
Asubuhi, like good morning.
No, that's
how
not...
do they say good morning?
That's not how they say good morning in Kiswahili. Amriat is going to be telling you.
How they say good morning?
Yes, but what I know is, as you first give me that, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, okay. Now, today's focus for Goma, North Kivu in the Democratic Republic of Congo. I think also the people of Congo also are very good with Kiswahili. In the morning, partly cloudy and quite brighter. And in some cases, it's a sign of rainfall. That is also will be noticed in the afternoon, as 22 degrees Celsius will remain in terms of the temperatures, but it is actually expected to rain in the afternoon. That is in Democratic Republic of Congo. Evening time, 20 degrees expected. Cold temperatures in there. No rainfalls in the evening, but the afternoon will be showing that. But the overnight will be low to 18 degrees, so you can easily tell that it will be cold in Democratic Republic of Congo. That is in Goma, the northern part in Kivu, or North Kivu. Now let's look at, it actually feels like 17 degrees currently in Congo, in Goma rather. So the high temperatures will be recorded at 23 degrees, lows at 17 degrees. Now let's take a look at the humidity at 91%, visibility at 9.66 kilometers. Then the wind speed will be moving at 5 kilometers per hour. And then the dew point will be 16 degrees. The UV index is 0 out of 10. Let's look at the moon phase. It's a warning gibbous.
For the people in London, England, and United Kingdom there, the morning is cold at 13 degrees Celsius, but highlighted with the brightness of sunshine there. The afternoon, it's still at 18 degrees Celsius, still cold there, though warm. But evening will be at 10 degrees Celsius. That means it's going to be cold, and the overnight, it will be very cold at 5 degrees Celsius for people in London, England. Now let us look at how temperatures in regards to highs and lows will be at 19 degrees Celsius high, whereas 4 degrees Celsius low, making a humidity around 86% and visibility recorded at 11.27 kilometers. Wind will be moving at 2 kilometers per hour, making a dew point of 4 degrees Celsius. The moon phase warning gibbous around for people in London, England, the United Kingdom.
Okay, now let's head to, the name Seattle.
Are you scared of it?
No.
Seattle
has
where
let's become Paston. So Seattle has become a predominant name for Ugandans. And let's look at today's forecast for Seattle in Seattle, Washington?
Yes, United States.
Okay. Morning, 11 degrees. It's cold in Seattle. The afternoon, 12 degrees. Very cold. Evening, 8 degrees. Still cold. And also looking at the overnight, 5 degrees. Now that one clearly needs someone to be having a very huge jacket on them. And for those that are used to them, I think that is why cigarettes are one of the most selling things in such situations in the United States. So now let's look at the weather today, how it actually feels like 7 degrees. The high temperatures will be recorded in negatives. The low temperatures will be recorded at 4 degrees. Now the humidity is at 86%. Visibility quite unlimited. And then wind 5 kilometers per hour. That is the speed at which the wind is going to be moving in Seattle. Then the dew point is 6 degrees. UV index is 0 out of 10. Moon phase is a warning gibbous for the people in the United States. Seattle, Washington.
Very well. And when away from Seattle, you realize that that closes up for the forecast on regards to weather updates for this particular time. And this is when now we look out for what is happening online, making headlines there.
Sorry to cut you short. I received the message. Why are we wearing blue? Someone was asking me whether we belong to.
Did we?
There's a political party.
You're putting on dark blue.
Someone was asking me
dark blue, and this is
whether Rita and Joram are now attached to the FDC.
No, we are attached to each other, driving business.
Exactly.
I tend to believe so. Do you believe so? Answer me. Do you believe?
So clearly, when you look
You're
at
not
what
believing.
is actually no, it's when you say
you're the kind of people who dodges answers all the time, even when you know that "Do Believe" song is being sung for the Christian.
That song back in primary. Yes, I believe. Let's check out what is coming in from the press review.
Now, making headlines in the Daily Monitor, we're looking at why NRM chose among to be they picked out to be their speaker race representing NRM, their speaker candidate. The ruling National Resistance Movement, that is the top organ, of course, leading around, on Wednesday endorsed Miss Anite among the Bukedia women member of parliament and the current deputy speaker to contest as the party's flag bearer in the race for speakership of the 11th parliament. Now we're going to get into the reasons as to why NRM chose among that way. Sources who attended there around the meeting were highlighting the desire to proceed whether the deputy automatically succeeded their boss was the main factor for Amongi's victory against the 11 others NRM nominees that were being highlighted there. Whereas it would also take 10 years for one serving as deputy in the previous succession of Olanya's sudden death after only 10 months at the helm of parliament, has hastened amongst among the top candidates that were for this particular race. Also, Among became deputy speaker in May last year and has presided over most parliamentary business dues to the health challenges of Olanya. May his soul rest in peace. At the time, he was heading the legislations actually when he was away. And her name will now be forwarded now to the NRM Parliamentary Caucus due to seat around today. So we're expecting that earlier on later today, what will be coming out from that caucus. The caucus will make the final choice who will be competing with candidates from other political parties in the election due to tomorrow that are slated for tomorrow at Kololo grounds. The president is expected to be attending the election of Olanya's replacement. Whereas the decision by the caucus committees there is not conclusive, it has past influenced the position of the caucus. So we are looking at the past caucus decisions that have been made. This is high chances as well that Anite among will be taking on the race with other opposition leaders from other parties to race for the same speakership seat around there. But to conclude on this one, during last year's hot race between Olanya and the former speaker Rebecca Kadaga, however, the latter defied the position of the caucus there, that is the CEC, and contested as an independent, but lost in the vote. The lawmakers from Greater North Parliamentary Forum had threatened actually to boycott on Friday vote on their own if not endorsed by CEC. The CEC decision moved on to Speaker's position from Acholi sub-region or the northern Uganda to eastern part of the country. So to explain this statement is that some MPs from Northern Corridor or Northern Uganda were highlighting that how they wouldn't be participating in the vote of speakership because they feel like that space should be just left free for the people coming in from Northern Uganda to participate in fully, so that because the deceased is from there. There is that mentality that was as well there, from members of parliament from the northern region.
It's a bit tribalistic in my opinion, their kind of mentality, in my opinion, because I believe just like we all understand the death hit the country to some by surprise and also greatly affected. It was quite unfortunate. And at a time whereby maybe they do believe it was, they have now a big man in government who can implement their roles. I think that is why they're actually pushing for this. But going back to the drawing board, I feel speakership should be on merit. Olanya had worked for this. For the last 10 years when he was under Rebecca Kadaga, he was actually proving himself that he can step down, he can actually step up because he was a deputy. So that is merit. So he had actually come in, and when you look at even the range at which he won the elections of speakership between his former boss, by then you could clearly know that Olanya was ready and his merit was enough. Even the members of parliament realized he can do this. So at the end of the day, it is all about the people from the Acholi region to as well send in another person to compete for the role. Because I've actually seen there's Minister Jacob Oboth, who is also part of that race. So clearly, it should
if they
not
feel
be,
that they can compete, let them join the race and
let
compete.
them join the race.
If the favor comes into their hands,
and if someone is manifesto or anything they're going to address to the MPs is worth it, then they will realize this person can lead them or can lead the proceedings in Parliament. So it shouldn't drive us to that tribalistic mentality of thinking that if at all the person who died belonged to my tribe, then that means the next person has to be in that tribe. It's just like hereditary. So that means if the next person also from your tribe, or either if, God forbid, happens to die, so are we going to have a level of succession in Parliament just like that? So clearly,
that is not going to be working in favor of the people in Acholi sub-region. But now let us look briefly as Jerome comes in, what the former on the speaker race, that is Semuju from the opposition, said had to talk about on this particular. Why are you smiling?
He said there's something he made a comment and he was like that he was voted by 15 people.
Yes, he was voted by 15.
But surprisingly, he said in the amount of opposition in Batia that whenever he meets one in the corridor, everyone tells him, Semuju, Zenakulonda. So remember, there are quite many. Now imagine over 100 opposition MPs telling you, Zenakulonda. But you know, sincerely, you have 14 votes. Because if there are 15 votes,
that means
the other one,
was
unless when you also betray yourself, of which it can't happen. So I believe Semuju knows there are either 14 people. Now,
is an example of
14,
people who do
difficult.
not trust other individuals.
No, you cannot trust anyone there. It's just
even when you
you're 100 people, you get 10 votes, and every other person you meet in along the way is like.
So there you cannot cannot know who was on your side, who isn't there, who will stand with you in sad moments, who is going to who will be there. But what is Semuju speaking about the endorsement of Anita here? And he's highlighting that for the last 3 occasions, he has been contesting for the position. And the people he contests with have been asking him to step down, always as he contests. And you rewarded them with, and he's highlighting that they were rewarded with ministerial positions and other responsibilities. And for him, he got nothing around there. So what happened? The other time he said that Saul and him around their poll, they were sorry about having those misunderstandings. But sources quoted Semuju there, highlighting, just like Joram Paul was talking about, he cannot trust anyone, and it's actually one of the advices he was giving to the deputy speaker now that is into the race, that she should not go arms open, this is hers, this is belonging to hers, because surprises are bound to happen in Parliament, just like he was surprised one time. So that is Semuju trying to advise Anita here as she's getting into Parliament race for the
I cannot imagine asking my friends, how are you?
I don't know
voted for you. Yeah.
What is next?
Still with the press review, let's look at a report coming in from NSSF. As of yesterday, NSSF disbursed 78.8 billion shillings in the first week of midterm payments. Remember, people had to first apply, then NSSF had to accept some and reject some. Now, for those that were actually accepted, 78.8 billion midterm access or midterm payments have so far been, those are the funds that have so far been disbursed.
And for those only who did actually interviews.
Exactly. Because through that, after accepting the application, you come through for interviews.
It's like you're doing a Why are you wondering? So you save your money.
You save your money. You've been working.
And that's your money. You have been, storing it somewhere with a fund that you feel is safe. And after that, for you to get that money back, you have to go under several tests to make sure, is it really you. Joram Sonko?
It's just like the banks are very funny. The banks will tell you, now it is you. Give us your national ID. They give you the national ID.
And then you took that picture, that picture which is on the national ID was
very
taken 20 years
like.
back.
So they tell you.
And the teller will look at you. Are you serious?
Put in your fingerprints on your money.
But yeah, those are all security guidelines that we have got to go through, because there are systems in place. Otherwise, there was no way now. There could be no way you could tell counterfeits.
I believe that is why most people in Chikubo or the trader community downtown don't keep money in the banks. They choose to keep it in the stocks.
Money in the pocket.
Man on man. If a thief comes to beat me, we hustle. We beat each other. You leave.
So people do keep money in the stocks.
Others keep it in bags inside their cars. People have a lot of money. They wrap it with rubber bands, put it in their coats.
I thought
you find someone moving with over.
I thought that transportation is just a transportation move to actually wrap them around and then go to store them in the bank.
Someone can actually move with 10 million here because they believe here it's safe. Not in the bank where they're going to charge you every day. Every withdrawal they charge, Or others actually now are opting for mobile money.
But again,
so
instead of you then keeping that money here, that means you don't need it at some point. That is why we always tell you, can you save it for investment? Because there is a lot, I do believe you've got a lot of more dreams or visions that you want to do.
If they carry their money here, can splash it somewhere and it makes more money. So he goes build somewhere there. If he feels he's getting more, he builds the other side.
I like the energy you're using.
That is how they are very aggressive by that.
You know, you've got that energy when you're explaining to me about that.
You know, they normally say rich people don't have that tone of speaking. They speak like Bagaga. Go sonko. Geno kore wadi. Nina kwa ebukade bubidi. You know, he has the money.
And he just pulls it out.
Ziba wano. Boka, bopia, bizike. Money is very good when you have money.
But take us through NSSF.
The National Social
talking
Security
about,
Fund
security checkups that
has paid out over 78.8 billion shillings to 4,417 eligible members to date. So the 28.8 billion above its weekly target of Uganda shillings 50 billions, following mass application of the midterm benefit that started last week. Speaking at a media brief at the Workers' House, the NSSF Managing Director Richard Byarugaba, who was on a Zoom interface, said that the payments reaffirmed the fund's commitment to avail liquidity to pay all midterm benefit obligations within the stipulated period. And he said that in addition to 3.29 billion, the fund paid 304 claimants as a test run for a few days after launch of the exercise. So he actually said that they are committed to payment of 50 billion shillings per week starting on March 17th. That exercise already started. So far, they have paid above weekly target by over 28.8 billion Ugandan shillings. This implies that they've paid 30% of the total members who have applied for the midterm within the first 1 week since they commenced the payments. That is according to statements from the NSSF Managing Director, Mr. Richard Byarugaba. NSSF earmarked 1 trillion Ugandan shillings for payment of the midterm benefit under Section 20A of the NSSF Amendment Act 2022, following the President's assent to it and subsequent gazetting in January. A total of 14,690 applications amounting to 305 billion shillings were received by the fund since it started the process on 7th March, and 8,697 of the applications were received at the fund's branch network and the temporary setup at Kololo Airstrip, while 5,993 were received online via its self-service platforms. Byarugaba explained that the fund had trained and deployed over 80 staff members specifically to attend to walk-in customers in addition to the self-service options. So,
okay. I say congratulations to anyone who has received
by the way, they're
midterm.
saying that majority is actually in 10 million bracket. Data from the fund shows that out of the 4,417 paid members, 3,606 have received less than 10 million shillings. and have got a total of over 16.9 billion shillings altogether. So people are still in that bracket of the saving 10 million.
Well, they worked for it. So this one drives me to a question, a concern. I know there are people who have died and they were saving. Smiling. Someone died, may their souls rest in peace, and you're the next of kin who was going to get that money. My concern here is to what extent or to what time, Joram, do you feel like you should open up to your next of kin, the one you're dedicating those banking funds, that investment to? To what time or what is the right time do you think you should tell your person that, you know what, you're my next of kin, everything I'm doing, this is...
There's a time I was listening to a lecture online, and it was about relationship goals and marriages, seeking for a marriage partner. And when you talk about the next of kin, in most cases people choose their partners as next of kin.
My partner is my next of kin.
So they say in most cases that it is very important that the both of you are on track in terms of the financial securities. How?
And goals.
And goals. You need to know how much a person makes. I know to the men sometimes it becomes difficult because men feel
you don't want to
want to open up when it comes to the money. But in most cases, women are very good at helping the men make good use of this money, because men just make decisions. If a man has a lot of money, he will definitely do it. He will just spend accordingly.
Okay, when do you think is the right time for you, Joram, to tell your spouse that, you know what, you're my next of kin. After I'm gone, the money is yours.
I think
you're the security there.
I think it goes back to the courtship time. How free are you with that person? Because your financial status has to be revealed. You need to tell that person, well, now, so far I'm getting this money.
I think for married people, I don't think when you're in courtship, you're already putting someone
in courtship it becomes difficult because the one ends up. But when you know you're secure with that person, married, when it comes to the marriage entity, I believe the first stages of your marriage, when you see your...
But then, even when you tell them when you're married, regardless, that means you have to keep your relationship always very stable. Because if you happen to have a disagreement already... Not because you're still alive, meanwhile, until you die. So that is when evil minds start, coming. I
was told that in legal marriages, like in courts of law, if you're going for a legal marriage, the ones that normally happens in courts, is that you need to make sure you know everything your partner has before you actually go for that type of wedding. They have to trace down. They ask you as a woman, bao aina akataka embale waliyo kamanyiko wobato kamanyinga bamuyitanga nyonyola kati nga babuza omusajja mukazi wo aina apartment enaalya ze yazimba ozimanyi nga bulijjo omanyi mwavu. So those are some of the things that people need to know.
All right, please. Thank you so much for that submission. At least you have to be aware always that, hey, someone you trust sometimes at a time T might just try to disappoint you. So you've got to always be ready.
Choose your partner wisely when it comes to sharing your details of economic status. And after that, well, after the break, we are going to be having discussions to do with the NSSF funds. We're also going to be talking about the retirement, the retirement benefits, talking about saving for retirement and how is your retirement plan? Is it on the right track as well? And also going to be discussing more of that after the break. Stick around.